Yeah.
Just tell us what we need to do.
Okay.
We'll have Vince get on, and then that's it, right?
Yeah. Well, the last meeting I think was sort of like you and I were in that hair and fire of the access thing. And so apparently this meeting didn't have much legs. So hopefully we'll get into a better position this time. And if not, we can always talk another time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, and I think Roman, so while we're waiting for Vince, how much information exchange did you get with Vince? Do you feel like you've got a good understanding of?
No, very little information. He also was, from my understanding, he started investigating into the search and all that. So I got very little, just a version number and just few search patterns that we have. But other than that, we're done right there because he still was doing the investigation at that time.
Got it. Yeah, I think he's still been digging into it, and I think this is one of the situations where we had a developer that was dedicated to search service, and this is Kamaksha that I'm admitting, just so you know, he lost power. So, hey Kamaksha, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Still no power at my home, so joining on phone, and I'll be a little distracted because I have to also go and pick up my daughter from school.
Yeah, well, hopefully you'll get power soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was coming and going too, so.
Yeah, it's a really windy day, and then it stops, and then it gets super windy again. I'm not used to these storms here. I'm used to storms from Texas where, it's a big storm because it'll rip off the roof of the next place. So it's interesting. I don't know how to brace for this stuff here. So, but anyway, we're still waiting for Vince. I confirmed the time with him.
He just got off the other meeting with me, so.
Yeah. So Kamaksha, we had a conversation earlier about search. Perhaps this is a good time to kind of talk about what you had discussed about the architect.
Yeah, I was wondering, since Bobby Mantoni is going to join next week, so Monday, if I understand correctly, probably might be a good idea for us to get his inputs as well in terms of making decisions for the future architecture of search. But I was not sure how much consideration and discussions have already gone into arriving at the document DB based architecture. So I just wanted to think aloud and put this question out there.
That's a good question, Jeremy, or I know, Roman, that you're getting ramped up.
You kind of broke up a little bit. Can you say that again for me?
Basically I was saying that we have a new architect joining our team next week, Bobby Mantoni, and I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on whether it's better to wait for his input before making decisions regarding the architecture of search.
I don't really know if it's necessary because this is more of an implementation detail rather than an architecture thing. From what I understand, the architect coming in is going to be handling more of how the whole ecosystem is set up from app to app and all that kind of thing. Not necessarily the exact implementation of something. It is one of those things where we definitely want to get out of the way we're doing it now. And the document base is kind of how we would be done and simplify things on the implementation detail of search. If that makes any sense.
Yes, that makes sense, and thanks for clarifying that.
But with what you said, though, as soon as they come on, I can't remember the name. What is the name of the architects again?
Bobby
Bobby?
Tony, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Actually.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Bobby gets in, and as soon as he is able to get bandwidth and kind of understand what they need to know, because I don't know how much of a research phase they're going to be in or for how long, we'll definitely get feedback without a doubt. Yeah. The team itself plans on using a lot of direction based on Bobby's findings and where we should be going overall. I think from what Robert was saying that wants kind of the platform team to be kind of like the quote base ground kind of base team for Bobby, even though Bobby's going to be for all of enterprise technology, from what I understand. I feel like I babbled a little bit. Yeah. I feel like I babbled. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. Yeah, TBD. Right?
Exactly.
I don't know. Although the one thing Rob did say to me was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Bobby's going to have us set up some new services. And I was like, oh, wow. So, because 5's not enough.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So, and I was telling Kamaksha, Search could be its own team because it's going to be pretty full on. I think. So.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is a super casual conversation, and so I just wanted to. I know Vince, you have been doing some research in terms of, the state of the union, what's going on with Search. Do you have any insights on kind of what's going on, and then perhaps we can kind of talk through the backlog and see if there's any tasks that maybe Roman, if you have any ideas, maybe we can just start getting some tasks and more information.
Yeah, so I was mostly looking at like a higher level architectural standpoint. And actually from that point it looks pretty good. I was actually pretty happy to see there's a pretty nice separation of concerns. So in that none of the actual logic seems to be too implementation dependent. There's mappers in between. There's they don't call it this, but a repository layer. So it should be nice to actually, if we were to touch anything that exists, it wouldn't be this massive, overhaul or surgery. So that's good, and I think it's a pattern that we can move forward with. We don't need to do any big re-architecting or anything because it's just a disaster as is, which is the case a lot of times. And yeah, actually, it seems like a good app to do this in. I was pretty happy. I was scared going in, but I've been pretty happy so far, which is one of the reasons why I've been, not upset to keep hanging out there.
So with the app itself, to me, it seems kind of messy, honestly. At least in regards to just the file structure. I don't really understand it. We have a folder that's in gesture, then another one's in ingestion or integration. And it seems like, say if I want to look at user stuff, it's over multiple larger directories and kind of all over. Do you guys think it would be beneficial to do a cleanup in that like anything for part definition is in the same directory? Anything for like EBOM or whatever is kind of put together.
We can. What I more meant, and what would be nice, the reason that's not such a big deal, I think we can basically just purely use the IDE tools and move that stuff around.
Yeah.
It's like mostly file locations are the issue you're having, right? Like package names and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it just if I'm going to change something, say for part definition, I want to only have to go in this section of part definition.
Yeah, it's more broken down by abstraction layer than domain by far.
Yeah. So, but if you guys are going to be working in that a ton, if maybe we should have that as a task to clean it up. If you think going forward, like say we start we start with like part definition or something like that after we get file hub or whatever into the document based. If we want to start switching those over, you think it'd be easier or just in general, feel free to do that kind of stuff because to me it would be helpful. But you guys are the ones that are going to be in there the most. So
yeah, I think we should keep some of the separation, like the layering as it is, but we can segment it into domains. So we can have like, the file hub domain, but then I think we should, we can clean up some of the naming, but I think we should still have like, the packages inside separated by abstraction layer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I guess this is also partly saying that you have full reign to do what you need to do or wherever you think you need to be done, to make it easier as we go forward. So it's all yours. Ownership is on you guys. So
yeah, the question that I have that's not clear in my mind, like in any project you would have a wish list, right? Or perhaps the business requirements, even better. Or at least the list of annoyances from which the business requirements will come from, right? So what are the pain points, right? What do we want to fix? What are we trying to do here, right? I understand cleanup is a very good thing. It's a technical debt that doesn't have to be there, shouldn't be there. No doubts about that. I respect that. That's a very good one. But what are we doing? Where are we moving? What are our aspirations, or what are we trying to achieve in the short run and perhaps in the long run?
Okay, so short run is we want to increase the speed and flexibility of putting in a new index or updating an index. I don't know if you've looked at the code base, Roman, but and I talked about it earlier today, that we have all the POJOs and all these mappings and things that we have to do.
Right.
We want to eliminate that altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the number one, because we want to basically say, anybody wants to put stuff in there, we want to say, give us the endpoint to grab an individual record, give us an endpoint to that we can grab stuff in bulk.
Okay.
And then identify the ID field, identify the description, and then done. And then here you go, we created your index, you're all set to go.
So practically our endpoints will change in that particular regard, right? So we'll have few web services that somebody will be able to invoke, get the ID, get whatever UID or something along those lines, and then boom, they have the document back. Or the bulk, like you're saying. I'm repeating what you're saying.
Sure. Let me, can I share the screen real quick, Andy?
Yeah, sure. And Roman, just so you know, I sent over a couple of, so it has the problem statement, the requirements specifically around what we're trying to do. So hopefully these two links will help you as well. It's already been documented.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
So when somebody wants to grab a document, we want them to be able to grab it in two ways. One, we do want an eventual universal search where they can look over multiple indices as they see fit. And in that regard, we would have, I think I talked about it earlier, where we have in this card, it's the type ahead, but we basically have an ID, URL, and a description, so they can look over however many indices you want for something, and we'll return this, and then they can narrow down what they were looking for. So that's where the ID and description comes from. Of anything coming in new. We also want them to be able to basically query, and this query is supposed to mimic the Elasticsearch query as much as possible. It doesn't have to be exact same, but right now we currently have like equals and contain and not equals. Those are really the only ones we have. So eventually, as it becomes fit, we'll want to we'll make this search query language much more robust. But basically, this is what we're looking for in the end. They give us an indices, what they're looking for, and the fields they might be looking for it, and then we return all this stuff. So it would be something like that. So, but the main thing is there's too many pain points of getting something in there. And that's the immediate thing we want to alleviate. Because right now, all these fields that come in, they are all mapped manually with the POJOs. And that means this work center, it's completely locked in to that. And it's a big pain to make any changes. So we want to eliminate the work on us and then give the user more flexibility. That's where the document base comes in. When we have these ones, that's where we're looking at searching over multiple indices for a more unified search. We also might have more stuff coming in as a search UI is built out, but that's kind of very much a pie in the sky at the moment. It's just because we don't have anybody to work on it. But our main thing is supporting people so they can get to their stuff as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that help?
It does, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And how we get there to these certain things, it's kind of, let's figure out the best way to do it. I think I talked to it earlier in that the scope of search has changed and grown from what it originally was. So, it's time to change and grow for it and make it a little bit better. Did I miss anything, Andy? That was kind of the 2-second synopsis.
Well, I am struggling with this mute button. No, I think that pretty much covers it. Right? Because what we're trying to do in a nutshell is, right now what we have in place, it's such a difficult... Happy, stop. It is such a difficult position for the people who need to add things into search right now because of the setup. And so what Dynamic Search is endeavoring to do is to make that a lighter lift, and so the setup is not as heavy. So, but obviously showing how it works right now is super helpful in driving that home, because the teams that we're trying to support and help, like the developer teams for manufacturing who work in Joules, because remember Joules, everybody does their work inside of their room, and let me know if we need to go over it again, but they don't have time to figure out a setup and lose a developer to try to kind of work with our current setup. What they need to do is they need to have something that's quick and easy so they can actually get their information. And not only that, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a sort of a weird dependency, a dependency where if they change their documents or their index or anything, then we have to get involved and to try to make sure everything is working as it should be. Is that right, Jeremy?
Yeah. And we want to give as much ownership back to basically the clients as we can. So if they change something, we just want it to kind of flow through. If it's a breaking change for them, then easy enough, we'll create a new index for them. And they can keep the other one until they switch over to the new one, type of thing. That kind of thing is not a problem. So basically, they can have they can version their APIs. We want to basically give them the ability to do that, at least with minimal changes. I remember we previously had, again, I thought this was a little bit pie in the sky, a little bit too much, but where it was all completely config based. But I thought that might be a little bit much. If you guys can see how we can do that, then that's great. But I thought it was, I didn't know if it was quite as feasible, but or necessary. Babbling again.
Yeah, no, but it appears very overkill, right?
Yeah.
From perspective, because one of the things that product team actually had exposure to is that the UX researcher presented to the product team. And one of the things that has come up, right? So there's personas, right? There's a planner, there's a manufacturing engineer, etc. Like all the people that use, again, Joules. And the biggest thing for them is search, right? There's 11 places right now that people can search inside of Jules today. There has to be a way to reconcile that, which I think is more of a UI, UX sort of situation. But the back end is where we have the ability to just make sure that they're empowered to do whatever they need to do whenever they address the front end. So hopefully this is making sense. And part of this also, and I think, Roman, you expressed that you're more familiar with Elasticsearch and AWS. Is that correct?
I have more exposure to Elastic, and yes, correct. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, there's a task to migrate the current instance of Elasticsearch into AWS. So that familiarity will definitely come into play. But what we've asked Vince to do, because the developer who was dedicated to search, and again, this is a huge potential big win for the platform team as well as the people doing work on the floor. We've asked Vince to kind of go back and look at what we have. And then there was a branch that Connor Coleman used to have that was trying to work on the ingestion portion of search service, which is, he called it dynamic search. And so we're just trying to figure out where he left off. And then the plan was always to go to document-based. So with what Vince has been able to discover, and he's triaged things that have been like broken or that needed updating, what we need help with is looking at this, like looking at it and seeing, okay, this is where things got left off. We need to move this forward, get to document-based, and then what Kamaksha will, and I don't want to speak for Kamaksha, but one of the things that Kamaksha will have exposure to is we have hundreds of use cases of people that need search. They need to add something to search. And so it'll sort of open up a lot of people wanting to add things to search.
Yeah, I have a few questions to what you said, Andy. So first of all, migrating Elastic into the AWS, you're talking about Elastic that's running in AWS to AWS's Open Search?
No, from one AWS account to another AWS
Oh, okay, cool.
account.
Okay, perfect. Because I honestly despise, I'll be honest with you, I would do it, but I despise to use the Open Search. So Amazon actually took the Elastic and they've used the early version of it, and they're still using the earlier version of it, and it's not as robust as the Elastic on its own. But it's just my preference to work with Elastic. Once again, I don't say I wouldn't do it, you see what I'm saying, but I wouldn't want to do that. I would be hesitant to do that. But that's fine. So moving from one realm to another realm, that's pretty straightforward. Do we have? Yeah, I can take a look at the Kibana and see how many nodes we have currently for the disaster recovery and all that stuff, because we have to have a sizable amount of nodes, the master nodes and ingest nodes and data nodes and so on and so forth. So we can go from that route. Another question I have is what?
Oh, by the way, Roman,
Yeah.
the moving it over, it's something we want to do, but we don't have to do it like right now.
No, I got it.
So we have plenty of time on that one.
Right,
so
I've heard
we
that.
don't need to put it as a high priority.
Okay, got it.
Medium priority, I guess.
I got it. I've heard that from Andy. So another question is about the document based. That is, I have a little bit of a grapple with, because Elastic is a document based search engine, right? So each document, each thing there is a document, right? So what do we mean by document based model or document based thing?
So the document base of what in regards to the search service itself is that, as you know, when I showed you the code and stuff, we have all these Java objects over there, all these models that we're moving them in we're pulling it from the endpoint, we're mapping it to the object, then in some cases we're mapping it to another object, which then gets put into Elasticsearch. We want to take away that mapping as much as possible. So when we call an endpoint, we just want to bring up the document, as in just the BSON or JSON document, and then give that to Elasticsearch. We don't want to be in the business of doing any of these mappings anymore.
I hear
because
you.
That's where things get heavy and slow, and not performance-wise, but in update-wise, and there's just all this stuff going on that it doesn't need to be going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we can get rid of that, that's what we're talking about when we mean document-based for certain service.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Because we were object-oriented in some sense, and we're practically taking those documents, wrapping them into the objects, and then sending them back to the client in some weird fashion and all that stuff. We don't want to be in that business. We want to be as transparent as possible to the Elastic itself.
Exactly. We will have to have some manipulation during the hydration process, but we just want to know of a couple of fields, like which one do we use as an ID field, and then we're just working with the JSON itself. We're not actually putting it into objects. And then along with like those ID and description, we also have a few that we're going to be doing some hydration, where we'll grab a field, like an ID field for a user, and then populate that document with user information before we put it into Elasticsearch. But we still don't want to deal with object models. We still want to just keep it working with a BSON or JSON object.
Got it.
Okay.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Yep.
So I guess from there it's I left the next sprint kind of open for you guys, just to be able to figure out what tasks we kind of need to do. I know we're going to do the proof of concept, but I'm not even sure exactly what is going to be going into that proof of concept, and how you guys can work together and do separate tasks or whatever you need to do. I guess that'll be the next steps, is for you guys to help generate some items so we can track the work. We have the rest of the sprint to do it, so we have a whole another week, because we'll start on the 25th. But that's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see that, so I'm assuming you guys went through this backlog because I had a conflict. So for sprint, starting with the letter K. So this is kind of some ideas about what needs to be worked on, but also, like, Vince, is there anything, I know because you're a bit ahead of the curve in terms of having exposure, is there anything else that needs to be added, or?
I'm trying to think. I'm not too sure. I think we've generally got it. If anything, it would just be, I think we have the domains covered. It would just be breaking them out into smaller, more granular parts if we wanted.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
But I think we've got the actual scope of work covered, I believe.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think there was there was a spike. I think you're working on a spike right now for the last, the switch to document-based search. So perhaps like in a week or so, there might be other tickets that come out of what you've discovered. And would it be helpful for Roman to look at EPS 1222 to just kind of look at the branch, or just kind of look at what you're looking at for this ticket?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be helpful. If nothing else, just be on the same page. And
sure.
I'd be interested in his insight on it.
Okay, sounds good. I'll send this over to you, Roman, so then that way we can all be on the, at least be looking at the same thing. Because again, we're looking at where did the developer who was dedicated to this leave off. There's links in terms of like what we have, what the design is, and then also I believe, yes, we also have a link to, sorry about my blog. We also have a link to the GitLab branch that he had last worked on. So that might be, then you and Vince and Derry should be on the same page. Does that help, Roman?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. It should be in the chat.
Remind me. When you're going through the design, so if you find a flaw in the design or something that we can do better, don't hesitate on looking at other options of how we can modify it. And we'll just, like we do with most of our spikes and most of our things when we're figuring out how we're gonna do something, is we'll all talk about it and figure out which is the best way to go. So don't feel that what's there is set in stone. You do have leeway if you have previous knowledge of what you've seen is a better way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a shy person, so whenever I'll see something, we already discussed, like for example, for the disaster recovery, how we'll be able to absorb like Jira in a faster mode and all that stuff. So there are a lot, certain things that it might be some stupid ideas, but I'd rather bring the stupid idea and everybody will say it's a stupid idea, versus just keep it to yourself. It's even stupider to just keep it to yourself.
Oh yeah.
I have stupid ideas all the time.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
So do I. My latest one was to get another dog because my current dog.
Oh no! Don't double down. Never double down.
No, I'm not gonna. Thank you. So crisis averted because I exposed that stupid idea. I was like, maybe he needs a friend. Stop, Happy. Anyway, so this is a safe place for people to be vulnerable. I always say that, and it sounds almost like a script that I'm running, but I really believe that, especially, like I was worried about saying anything and got to know Jeremy, and then, nobody can know everything, but thank you for being open about that, because that's really helpful.
Yeah.
I personally think it's super fun playing off my own ignorance. So other people, they know so much, and they're talking about it. So
yeah, it gives them something that they enjoy. So
yeah,
there's some people.
I'm going to be contributing with a lot of stupid ideas as well. So
Welcome to the team. Yeah, it's going to be great. Yeah.
By the way, something that I wanted to talk about is as we go through proof of concept and prototyping, maybe after the technical proof of concept. But correct me if I'm wrong. If you're thinking that prototyping should be part of proof of concept, then we can treat it that way. But what I was getting to is that I'd like to start conversations with some of people belonging to some of those personas that Andy was talking about earlier, and some developers, so the manufacturing engineers, for example, design engineers, as well as our own internal ET developers, and also developers from other teams. For example, from New Glenn, the idea will be that the search service could be leveraged by any software development team. So over the next sprint, I would like to connect with a few of those folks, ideally together with all of you, because I really believe in the power of direct interaction between the developer community as well as the end user community. So I'll be digging into that and trying to set up some of those discussions.
Yeah, it's a week, and I can send you over who I've spoken to and just kind of give you the information that I have. We recently had a conversation with Samuel Schneider, I think, from New Glenn. So that was kind of an interesting conversation, but I think that's a wonderful place to start. It's a great idea.
Yeah, we need to follow up with him and see how he's doing. He tried to go directly with Jira, but I guess it was having a problem with it, so...
Yeah, we did. So we followed up. I talked to him, and I think that what Ryan gave him in terms of the query for Jira gave him everything in the kitchen sink, and so then they had to spend time refining and sorting and filtering what they needed, and so it was it didn't really do what they needed it to do. So that would be a great place to start. Kamakshi's a really engaging guy, like really good to talk to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but if since he tried and wasn't able to do anything with Jira directly, then I think we should do what we can to help him out.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's a great place to start. Kamaksha is helping New Glenn. So let me send you that email exchange, and that'll be a good place to start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as we go into the document base, and I keep talking about this, there's certain places that we're probably not going to be able to do that. One is Jira, because of the document they send back is actually massive. And we don't want to hold all that. And it's also cryptic, which makes it really difficult. There's a lot of ID for field names and stuff like that. So we'll have to do some mapping, I think, in at least in the Jira regards. With the other stuff, hopefully not. But we might have the snowflake of Jira in there that we won't be able to go to the document base, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because, like, after talking to Evan, and the dependency with Jira and actually the scorecards for the schedules are getting now put into Jira. So it seems like people are actually getting more invested in it than less.
Yeah. If we find that Jira becomes heavy and we get like this massive, it get bigger and bigger index, Jira itself is pretty fast. We could look at the performance of making those calls to Jira directly and see if that's comparable or it can hold up at least pretty closely to what we have with Elasticsearch. And if that's the case, I know it's just a pass through, and I'm not too hip on that, but it might be something better than basically indexing all of Jira, because if they add more and more and more, then we might just have to be a front on Jira to make it easier for other folks to make those calls. So,
Yeah, true.
but so I don't know if we'll be able to ever get out of the Jira business altogether, but maybe we can make it simpler on ourselves. So
Yeah, I agree, because I've just finished up a call, right? And so the big focus right now is schedules, right? Like, when are we delivering these engines? And part of those schedules is the scorecard. Like, honestly, guys, the metric thing is just like the fever pitch of getting a metric is going up and up. And so right now you have people and programs that literally use an Excel spreadsheet on a local laptop for any sort of issues that's impacting their ability to meet a schedule. And they're supposed to be putting into this tool called P6. And apparently people are averse to that because it's not very user-friendly. That's the feedback. And so now they're trying to get everybody to use ITS. Already not working. So, yeah.
great. Okay, so we know work's coming there.
Yeah.
Some type of work, I'm sure.
For sure, yeah, for sure. So they're just trying to get them to use it at this point because they don't use anything. They'll use a spreadsheet on Excel. Stop.
Okay.
I have a question about the Jira search, about Jira indexing.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy, you mentioned that the documents are pretty fat or pretty big, pretty lengthy, having a lot of ideas, and when we're retrieving them by mapping first to the objects and then sending that data to the client. So it's becoming
so we will actually make the call to Jira.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pull it in. We'll pull the fields out that we are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and those are the ones that we'll actually save in. We'll save in Elasticsearch.
right, and then when we retrieving, we're doing a lot of mapping, right?
No, there's not a whole lot of mapping that we need to do, because by the time that it gets to us, we don't have a whole lot of we thin out the fields quite a bit.
Okay.
So I'll give you.
So the question.
I'll share my screen to give you an example
Okay.
of
Yeah.
the stuff we get back from Jira.
Okay.
Okay, so this particular call is basically grabbing a few issue types that were updated in the last few minutes. So so here's one issue. This is still all the same issue.
Not bad.
So you can see all these custom fields and things like. So this is the object that comes back from from Jira.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why Sam was having so hard of a time of figuring out what to get. We're still going on the same thing.
Wow.
So when we map it, we're actually only looking for a certain. Jeez, I didn't even remember how hard it goes so far. Just going.
Crazy.
Okay, so you get the idea there. So when we actually get to here, we'll bring up the Jira issue. We map it to this.
Mm-hmm.
So we're only grabbing a few things out of it.
Okay.
Thankfully, because otherwise it just, it would just be crazy. So, so where was I going with that?
But are we storing all of these fields in the Elastic?
We're only storing these fields.
Ah, okay, cool. Got it.
So those are the only fields that are relevant to us at the moment. So those are the only things that we're storing. So even if it's one of those things where we decide, hey, we're not going to, it's not worth storing it in Elasticsearch, we might still be a good candidate to help the other users so they can deal with this rather than this.
Right.
Yeah, that type of thing. That was the whole idea. Like maybe we're not going to be able to get completely out of the Jira business, but we can still help people. Oh, there's the end of it. There you go.
Wow.
Was that 1,000 lines?
2000.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, so yeah, but that's what we're dealing with, and we can figure out the best way to do it. But yeah, if they're adding even more stuff, then that's crazy.
You got it. No, I think you're doing it right. You're doing the mapping during the ingest time, not during the query time. During the query time, that will be the most painful. And
that would be a nightmare to do that mapping during. That would not be fun, and there would be a whole bunch of stuff that we would store that we wouldn't need to. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I put context, so the ticket, and Kamakshi, I sent you the email, the exchange that we had, but there's context that based on what Jeremy was sharing. So that shouldn't. Oh my gosh, words are hard. Ta-da! This is what Jeremy was talking about.
Yes, I can't see the screen or the email right now, so I think I'll have to connect with you guys later anyway. So.
No. Yeah. And no worries. Like it's in Teams, and I also sent you an email. I don't like Teams because it gets rid of the history. And so I'm like, that's a great link that Jeremy sent me, and I thought, okay, well, I don't have it anymore. It's just a bit frustrating. I miss Slack.
Yeah, me too.
I know. All right, I have nothing else unless Roman, Vince, Kamakshi, Jeremy, you guys have anything else that you want to cover? I know we've talked a lot today, but Roman, do you feel like you've got a good direction in a sense? And Vince, do you have anything?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Great. Cool. And then Vince, let us know. Okay, cool. And then Kamakshi, we can just touch base, and I can give you lots of use cases that you can look at.
Yes,
but yeah, I think just even getting Karen's presentation about what she discovered with planners would be like super helpful. I know Juan is really excited about that metric.
Oh yeah, I went through that. So it's really useful. Like, we've been need to reach out to some people from those persona groups and get further insight.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm a pumpkin. So let me know if you need anything else.
Thanks,
Cool,
everyone.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Take
All right,
care.
thanks.
Thanks. Bye, bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.